It says, normally I'd rather roll down a mountainside covered in broken glass and sticky traps than create conflict. Period. 'Cause same, honestly, Harriet. I get you. Hi, good morning. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Sammy. If you're new here, 28-year-old psych PA, small business owner, smoothie bowl connoisseur, avid reader, book enthusiast. For the week, my husband and I are in the Dominican Republic. So exciting, so blessed, so privileged to be here. We're so excited. And I figured I'm just trying to be quiet because he's still asleep. I am cursed with this inability to sleep past 7:30 or 8 o'clock. So we are up. We're going to take advantage of this little extra hour or so in the morning. I'll probably wake him up by, I said, what's the latest? What's the latest you want to sleep in? He said 9. So I'll wake him up. But I'm going to film a little reading vlog while we're here, what I get read and while on vacation. We'll talk about it later, but I already finished Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez. Yesterday was our travel day. Our second flight was 4 hours. I was 40% to the book already, so I finished the rest of it on that plane and then had an hour to think about it, process it. While on vacation, big fan of summer romances, easy reads, and thrillers. Just things that are not crazy. I've read a fantasy book on the beach before and I completely forgot the plot afterwards because, had a couple drinks, things to relax while on the beach. So while we're here, I'm going to reread Happy Place by Emily Henry so I can annotate it. I already restarted it last night, but I'm 26 pages in. I'm so excited to be reading this. This is a 5 or 6 star read for me. This book means so much to me. It's so personal to me. I've already been underlining some things if we just want to look. It says, normally I'd rather roll down a mountainside covered in broken glass and sticky traps than create conflict. Period. 'Cause same, honestly, Harriet. I get you. I stand there, an astronaut untethered from her spaceship, drifting into nothingness. And then she's talking about the cottage that they're at, and she says, this pocket universe where we always belong. I'm also holding my phone up just to get better audio. Forgive me. The most important friendships in my life all came down to a decision made by strangers. Chance. My friends taught me a new kind of quiet, the peaceful stillness of knowing one another so well you don't need to fill the space, and a new kind of loud noise as a celebration, as the overflow of joy at being alive here and now. So my plan is to reread this, and then I have 2 other books with me, but of course I have my Kindle just in case I change my mind. This is probably the only thriller I have on my TBR right now, Lisa Jewell, Don't Let Them In. I don't know too much of it, but if we get into it, I'll read about it and see what's going on. Sorry, there's some crazy stuff going on. Anyways, this is something I have. I also have I Who Have Never Known Man, because I think if I get all of this reading done, that will be a fun flight back read, because I can finish that book on the read, and nothing's more satisfying than finishing a book in one sitting, because the book's like maybe 200 pages. But yes, right now I'm going to read this for the next hour, hang out here, drink some water before we go work out. Has in fact decided to rain on our parade today until 4 o'clock. It is noon or 1. We just ordered room service. We're gonna sit out on the porch and I'm gonna just keep reading for now because we don't really know what else to do. We're just gonna relax, I guess, and hope the rain stops at some point, and hopefully we'll get to enjoy more of a beach day tomorrow. So I guess it's just us, our room service, and our book. Happy Tuesday. Yesterday, it rained so much, I just ended up reading my book. I came back in for a millisecond and Brian was zonked out, totally asleep. Because I was outside, I made it to page 200, we ate lunch. When I hit that page count, I was like, you know what, let me check on Brian and see what he's gotten up to in here. Fully dead and asleep, so I just kept reading my book. I'm like 250 pages in. This is how she's going very well. I'm having so much fun rereading this. I think this was like the perfect time, the perfect opportunity. Brian's been reading his book, getting into it. I don't know what he's reading. What's your book called?
One Shot at Forever.
One Shot at Forever.
Non-fiction baseball book.
It's just crazy the things that I've forgotten reading this. I think what's also really cool is when I read this, one of the reasons it was like a 6-star read was how heavily I related to Harriet, and I still do, but there's so many pieces of her that I feel like I've grown up from, and I think that's very cool that I don't feel as emotionally stuck as she maybe does right now. And a big thing with this is like a career change, all this pressure. You know, you get good grades for so long, so there's this pressure for you to go to school, go to college, get a good degree, go into medicine for her, go into medicine for me as well. And then you just realize that like you're spending all your time doing this and it's not really bringing you enough joy or happiness to be able to do that for the next 30, 40 years of your life. And then taking a career change that's gonna look to some people like a really big risk. Maybe you look a little bit silly, like now I make smoothie bowls and own a small smoothie bowl business. When I read this, it was before I made that big career change. So I related to a lot of the things, but it's cool to see how I don't experience all of these emotions anymore, like I grew up from it. But it's like a little ode to old me before my prefrontal cortex was like done developing and everything. But we're about to head down to the beach. I don't know if we're gonna finish it here, but I'm gonna finish it today probably. That's the plan. Update, I finished my book. The sun came out. Fresh coffee acquired. Hi, happy Wednesday. We're headed to the beach. Last we saw you, I did finish Happy Place yesterday. Brian's about like 150 pages into his book. We're doing fantastic reading journey on this trip. We are headed to the beach. Good weather until about 3 o'clock. Around 3 o'clock, we'll probably get a snack, go to the gym. Right now, we're gonna get some food, probably get a coffee, sit down by the pool. I don't know what I'm gonna read. I'm considering I Who Have Never Known Man, just because that would be cool, fun, short, sweet, and I could get it all done. But I could also probably finish that completely on our plane. So I did bring Don't Let Him In by Lisa Jewell, but I kind of want to read a romance book. I didn't expect to finish Happy Place this quick, but weather made it happen. So I might look for a romance on my Kindle.
Bye, everybody.
Do you want to be shirtless on camera?
No.
Perhaps put a shirt on. Let me come clean. We didn't read anything at the beach, and that's okay. We relaxed. We had some drinks, and I talked with the girlies. No reading was done. I read 0 pages. Brian read
30.
Right now, we're about to go and head to a dinner that we have to go to, and then I don't really know what the plan is after that. We are unfortunately leaving. We're about to go get breakfast, and then we'll head to the airport, and then I will read on the flights back. I might read I Who Have Never Known Man just for the satisfaction of starting a book front to back and finishing it. I would love to do that. So I'll either read that or I'll read a romance book on my Kindle if I personally would rather. I'm just not totally sure yet.
I need to log Trace out of the Netflix.
Maybe we should finally talk about the books that I read on this trip. We got, I'm gonna say 4, probably more like technically 3.5 books done on this trip, but this is the stack we're looking at. I do not own one of the books. One of the books is on the Kindle. That's why we have her there. A lot of the reading was done, oh my goodness, I'm always fighting the cat hair. Most of the reading was done on the traveling, and one book was read during the trip. This is where we started Say You'll Remember by Abby Jimenez. I read this for the plane trip there. I was already about 40% into the book. I really enjoyed this. Abby Jimenez has done it again. She does it every time for me, except for the first time. So we're following Xavier and Samantha. Xavier and Samantha spend this one night, this perfect date together, and it really feels like they've probably found the one, but their circumstances are not going to allow them to pursue that further. Xavier is a veterinarian, but he owns a business where he is located, and he's taken out business loans. He is so heavily invested in this. He would go into massive amounts of debts if he just like dropped everything and left. Samantha works in marketing, but she likes social media management, and she can pick up her things and go anywhere. She can work from anywhere. However, her mom has been diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease, early onset. Things are getting difficult back at the house with her sister, her brother, her dad, everybody just trying to take care of her mom. So she's gonna head back and try to spend some time, because she's also noticing that her mom maybe recognizes her sister but has not recognized herself, has not recognized Samantha. So she is picking up and moving the next day after this perfect, picture perfect, movie perfect date. So that's where we end up. Samantha goes back, but of course they go back and forth. They end up trying to make it work, and we kind of watch their love story from there. I ended up giving this 4 stars. Abby Jimenez, first and foremost, writing style is so edible, so fast to read. You can honestly pick up one of her books and read it front to back in one sitting. Another thing she does well is just the romance period. The romance period, the chemistry between these two, it was working off the charts immediately, page 1. And number 3, she really knows how to make these romances real life. These people are going through real life things. They're not some crazy billionaire who could just pay some money and make everything happy, turn everything into a happily ever after because of money, because of finances. People are sick. People are dying. People are going through real life things. There's things that our family are experiencing and going through when dealing with being full-time caregivers and what that looks like. And I think that representation was so well done and perfect in this book. I really think she does a good representation of giving you a happy, beautiful romance in unhappy, unbeautiful circumstances of life. She can show you what real life really looks like. And in this book, the reason the characters can't be together is very real world, very real life. It's not this stupid, silly thing where it's like, you know, if so-and-so just did this, they could work out, or if they just communicated this, they could work out. Like, no, these were real things. It wasn't obvious who should be the one to make the big sacrifice, the big leap, because they were both in circumstances that really tied them down to where they were in their current state of life and where they were living. And then learning about like Xavier's history and his past and his trauma and why he is the person he is today as a result of that, and really showing his love language and how he's a doer and he's really a caregiver. He loves to take care of people. He likes to do things for people to show them where he's at and show people that he cares. Yeah, I really enjoyed this. Solid 4-star read. Would highly recommend. For the beach, I wanted something kind of easy to read, and so I decided it was time for me to reread Happy Place by Emily Henry, and we had a time, let me tell you. We had a time reading this. I reread it because I wanted to annotate it, and that is just, I mean, that just tickles something in my brain. I hope it does the same to yours. This is a 6-star read for me. It has been since I picked it up. I love this book. We're following Harriet and Wynn. They are strangers to friends to lovers. They are part of this friend group who has a shared housing arrangement at school. However, because of their classes, study abroads, they never end up encountering each other until this friend group goes to the beach house that Sabrina and the friend group, her parents, own. You get a then and now timeline. A lot of the thens is in the past, where it was their first summer they met, the second summer they met, different experiences they were having, and that is quote unquote the happy place. And then the current is the not so happy place. They are no longer together. They were engaged. They are going on one last trip to the cottage because Sabrina's parents, Sabrina's dad, is selling it. And so there's already this like doom and gloom aspect to the whole trip, and they don't want to add to it. So they decide to fake be engaged throughout this last trip, throughout the week, just to make sure everybody else doesn't feel upset, doesn't feel like, wow, this really is a finality to this friend group. There's also some other crazy things happening with all of the characters, and we're watching what happens, you know, as you grow up in such a tight-knit friend group, what happens when you start meeting your people and then you start going through things and the pressures of life and things changing and how you forget to communicate those things with people you love and where that leaves you standing. And I do love this book. At the time when I first read it, I felt like I really deeply related to Harriet, and that's why it stood out so much for me. I think what's really cool about reading this now, 3 to 4 years later, is I'm in such a different place in life now, and I feel like I still have relatability with her, but there's quite a few differences between us now, and that's just because I've grown up some, I've grown through some things, I've learned some things, I've made some big life changes. It was a very cool experience to see like how this was an ode to maybe what I was feeling some years ago, but I'm no longer feeling quite as much, and that was really, really cool. But yeah, I love this. I will always love a book that is a Northeastern summer because it's also how I spent most of my childhood summers with my grandparents. I would be interested to see if with rereading some of the other ones at some point, if it still stands at number one. Now that I'm no longer at a place where I feel like me and Harriet are like this, we're kind of like this now. But still, 5-star read, fantastic time. Then I didn't pick up a book until we were going on our way back home. For that, I was like, how cool would it be to finish a book front to back? What better book to do than I Who Have Never Known Men? This is less than 200 pages. And I was like, wow, this is very cool because I'll be able to finish that. And I did finish that, and then I did pick up something else on the flight. I ended up rating it 4 stars. Good, solid read. Would highly recommend to pretty much anybody. I think anybody could pick this up, enjoy it. I think most people could also read it in one sitting. It was a page turner. It's not really even, I don't even think there's any chapters. Now this is a little dystopian novel following 39 women who are in this cage with no men, no access to any sort of resources. They get meals at certain times, but there's certain things they're not allowed to do. They're not allowed to touch each other. They're not allowed to discuss certain things. The guards who are there, they are men, but they do not engage in any sort of conversation with the women, but they don't really know why any of this is happening, how they ended up here. There's one girl who's younger than the rest of them who doesn't even know what the outside world was like. So it's very interesting to follow her perspective on why things are happening or how her emotions develop or how her lack of emotions kind of develop, because she's never given this opportunity to know what love is and to build human connection in normal circumstances until one day they find themselves outside of the cage. And that is just this whole adventure. It was such a page turner, and it was so interesting to see the other woman's experiences being outside of the cage versus her experience, because again, she just, her brain, her empathy, her emotional level, her emotional intellect, all of that has developed differently than the rest of the women because this is all she's ever known. It definitely leaves you with a lot of thought. There's no like really happy finality to it. Things aren't wrapped up in a pretty bow at the end of it, but I definitely think it was such a good read. It was so interesting. I think at times, because of the emotional intellect of the female main character, it was a little bit hard to emotionally connect to her, but I think that was probably intentional by the author. Yeah, it was a great read, 4-star. Definitely recommend this one, and you can get it read so fast. It was so satisfying to finish it front to back. But then we were on the airplane and your girl needed something to read. Now, I was really in the mood for a romance when I picked up I Who Have Never Known Men, so I picked up Jennifer Hartman's Still Beating. This is my first Jennifer Hartman book that I've ever read. I have been highly recommended by some mutuals on TikTok about this book. In this, we're following Dean and Cora. They are enemies. Dean is Cora's sister's fiance, and they have beef, so we're like going to the engagement party and we're going to different things for the wedding, and you can just see they don't like each other. There's some flashbacks flashbacks of different pranks that they play on each other. But you can always tell there's always been some sort of chemistry, especially on Dean's end, and there's been some sort of interest between the two of them. However, then book takes a turn. They end up being kidnapped together by a serial killer called the Matchmaker. They're locked up in this basement together with, their mortal enemy. The last person in the world that they want to be stuck with is who they're stuck with. And some horribly awful things happen while they're down there. And it's definitely a book where you check your trigger warnings. I did enjoy this read. I ended up giving it a 3.5 stars. It was definitely like captivating front to back. I didn't finish it on the travel day, but I think I finished it the next day. I really liked their relationship and how it grew. I was worried at one point in time it was just going to become a trauma bond, but the male main character does take a step for them to be able to heal separately and then come back together again one day if it makes sense for them. So I think that really helped solidify that their relationship was true and good and healthy. I think I could have done without the whole sister's fiance situation. I really don't think it added anything necessary to the plot. Yes, it makes it a little bit messier, stickier, but I just don't think that it was needed. I think you could have gotten the point across from the beginning to the end without having to get anybody hurt like that in the mix of it. And I think that hindered some of the healing process for both Dean and Cora, because there was somebody who was supposed to be someone who helped them through this process who wasn't really able to, because she was not aware of the full extent of everything that happened. And then once she was aware, then that caused a rift. And I think Cora's sister really having been for her would have been good for her healing journey. Yeah, there was just little things they could have done without, but a solid 3.5 stars. I really enjoyed it. That was everything that I read. And I had a great time reading. I hope maybe you found a recommendation, or you found a book that we both love in common, or you just had a good and fun time reading your book while having this in the background. But thank you so much for watching, and happy reading, and I hope to see you in the next one.